and dreary. Oh, we're live.
I love how that's how it always starts. Like, we know it's going live, it's ticking, and then randomly you come up with something, and then bam, we're live like halfway through your sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaves them wanting, Brian. They don't know what I said beforehand. They'll just have to stay tuned.
So we're obviously going with a slightly different view or I guess format. We went with a darker layer-like feel. So let us know
in honor of
comments.
Dia de los Muertos.
Yes. So let us know in the comments how you like. Is this a little bit easier to see us? Do we look more ghostly, less ghostly? But we are going to try this out for aesthetic reasons and obviously cultural reasons. So there's that.
Nice. I do feel like maybe it makes my blue eyes pop a little bit more.
And I think it's just that I'm wearing a blue hoodie next to it.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just throw this garbage.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited.
You know, there's a lot going on in the news, and it's funny that we totally side-swiped it or, ran away from the current, happy election day.
Feliz Dia de Election?
Election. So I don't know if that's the case, but Virginia is having a very tight race.
It is.
With a gubernatorial race. That's probably one of my favorite political terms, gubernatorial. So obviously, I don't think there is an incumbent for the Virginia governor this year, but it was supposed to be a neck-and-neck race between Youngkin and McAuliffe, and McAuliffe is trailing right now by 10 points, but I mean, you're waiting on those huge metropolitan areas that are going to kind of swing it a different route.
I think it's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah.
Also, there was just a big story too about the Lincoln Project.
Oh, really?
Staging. I think it was in Virginia. They were staging a what was meant to look like a white supremacist rally. Look it up, Rye.
Really?
I'm fairly certain it was Virginia, and they were trying to make either McAuliffe. I think it was McAuliffe. They were trying to make him look bad.
Really?
Saying that he had a bunch of Trumpers.
Oh, yeah.
I know things.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
Yeah. And they fessed up to it after they got caught.
Of course.
Saying that they were trying to prove a point.
Well, I will say this. It does look like they're trying to prove a point because there's a black guy in there. I don't think they were trying to stage it as, hey, this is white supremacists. They're trying to replay
Trump lovers, I think is what it was. Sorry.
Is
there a difference?
Well, no. Well, no, they're... Well,
just kidding, bro. I'm just trying
to... You said it. I will say, it definitely feels like they were trying to bring up Charlottesville. That's what they were trying to... Because, Trump endorsed Youngkin over McAuliffe. Obviously, he's the Republican candidate, but not all Republican candidates are treated equally
or created equal
by the Trump administration. So, Virginia was a state that Biden won.
Yeah,
and therefore, it was. They're looking at this as
by
kind of a signal.
10 points, right?
Yeah. So they're looking at this as a signal for what could come in the midterm elections, right? It's really kind of an early indicator of the sentiments of the Biden administration. And it's very telling because it's right next door to West Virginia, which is, Joe Manchin territory, and that's an absolute shit show of what's happening with the infrastructure bill. And another thing going on right now is the G20 summit. So, Biden and the 19 other major leaders of the world, the 20 largest countries, are meeting and talking about climate change and all these different things. And Biden did it. He essentially apologized and he said, I shouldn't really apologize, but I'm going to, for the last administration for pulling out of the Paris Accords. So he apologized for that and said that set us back a little bit, but we're, marching towards the path of being, clean energy by 2050. I think it would have been far more beneficial to have an actual infrastructure deal that would kind of guarantee those things before saying like, oh, we're going to have that. Well, how? So,
and thus his drop in ratings.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of a big deal going on.
Also, his press secretary has COVID-19.
Yeah.
We wish her a speedy recovery.
Jen Psaki, what an incredible communicator for me. I think she's phenomenal. My sister often sends me TikToks because she's become a big fan of Jen Psaki. So we do definitely wish her a speedy recovery.
What do you like so much about her?
I think she's very...
Like poignant?
I think she's very... I think she's very well spoken. I think she's direct.
I would be too if I were reading off of a teleprompter, Brian.
Well, she's not. She's not. She has to answer the questions accordingly, and I think she does a good job. I don't think she beats around the bush too often, and she tries to take things head on, which is a breath of fresh air. It was kind of the tradition of press secretaries up until a certain time period, and now we're kind of getting back to that. It's not always the question or the answers people want. Regarding vaccination mandates or mask mandates or Afghanistan, whatever the case is, she's communicating what the administration is moving towards or saying. So,
yeah, I'll have to watch more video footage of her.
Well, you can right now.
Well, I mean, I can watch reruns.
Oh, yeah.
They still calling that?
I can watch reruns. I mean, technically it is.
You're
rerunning the footage. You're
getting
rerunning
up there,
the footage.
Getting up there in age, Bryce, so I better start using the proper terminology.
Dude, my dad used to watch reruns of Law & Order, NCIS, and Blue Bloods.
Which NCIS?
Nonstop.
I'm thinking CSI, sorry.
No, there's multiple NCISs as well now.
Yeah.
So he watched the normal one. He watched the Vegas one, or not Vegas. LA.
Vegas was CIA or CSI.
LA, the one with LL Cool J and Chris O'Donnell.
Oh yeah.
And then LA, the Louisiana, New Orleans had one as well. And he didn't get into that one as much because he also had Blue Bloods, and he was a big Tom Selleck guy.
Okay.
As a former police officer, Law and Order, NCIS, and Blue Bloods were like his go-to. He did have a big. He supported CSI in its early days too, but then it got to be too much, and he just like fell off. I think when it got to Vegas, he was done with it. So, but yeah, so there's all these news stories going on, and we are completely dodging it and going into the metaverse.
Scary.
I know. It's like the design of the metaverse is to escape through reality, and we're doing it within our podcast. We're meta podcasting.
Yeah. Let me tell you about how I met a Brian. It was a good day.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize for me. I'll apologize for myself. I'm starting to get it. Your wink is just so good.
Okay, so we're going to talk about
Have you ever seen the show?
What?
How I Met Your Mother?
Speaking of, that was actually one of my favorite shows.
I'm going to get this all out before we record the podcast.
Yeah, get that out. we have a semi-established podcast following. Let's just absolutely dump on the YouTube following.
Hey, people might like my jokes.
I think they do.
Leave a comment.
Yeah, leave a comment and just agree with me.
Oh, man. Nah, the Team Brian following is super strong.
That's on the podcast form. Now they have to see my face. It's different.
Nah.
You can sell them on your
This isn't looks. This is not like a Nixon JFK.
Well, no. I was going to bag on myself that much. Jesus.
You like the reference, though?
Yeah, that was a very good reference.
Yeah, that was right when TV was coming about.
Yeah.
Well, when they were more readily available.
Yeah.
And everyone who watched thought that John F. Kennedy won because he was better looking. And I just think that's wrong. They should go on the policy and politics of it all. You know what I mean? Who doesn't want a president who's going to break into the fucking DNC? He's real crafty.
I mean, didn't we already?
Ooh, yeah.
Russia broke into the DNC and leaked all the shit on Hillary.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of it. There was no like overflow catch, and so it just piled up so high that it just floated into the public.
That's how emails work.
Yeah, man.
I keep telling my wife she's gotta get rid of some of those notifications.
That's why Hillary had all the backup servers.
How are you? How are you with notifications?
As far as, is my sound off?
No.
It is.
No. I mean, like, with your notifications. Like, right now, I have, like, 2 voicemail notifications, and I'm compulsive about clearing them.
I have 1 text message.
Yeah. What does it say?
What kind of wall are you thinking?
Fair.
It's from somebody who's going to do some construction for the podcast. Shout out to Joe.
Yeah, possibly.
No, but I clear them for the most part. Like, I have 85 emails, but that's just because.
See, like, I can't.
Oh, no, like, I'll go in there right away and I'll get rid of them. It's just because I was telling Brian we re-upped our pre-approval letter for a mortgage, and now it's like every mortgage company in the world's trying to get a hold of me. But no, I clear mine religiously. And I'm the kind of guy that, like, I don't Snapchat very often, but if I open up Snapchat and I see that I have, like, there's stuff in people's stories, I have to, like, I don't even watch them, I just click through.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm compulsive about notifications. There was one point, not to throw my wife under the bus, but she had, I want to say, in the 30,000 mark of unread emails.
Yeah, that's wrong.
And
I couldn't do that.
Even with text messages, like, I understand some people aren't, like, super active on email, and she gets, like, I don't know how many emails from, like, DSW and Target and, like, all these different offers because she's in their club for the discounts and whatever, coupons. But there's something to be said about text messages. I'm like,
Anna's the same way.
I'm like, how? Like, I'm compulsive when it comes to either responding or at least acknowledging it. Yeah. And that's not to say she doesn't acknowledge it. She does. Right. Like, I've been left unread. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, well, yeah, I understood. You said yes. And I was like, yeah, but you didn't click it. So you didn't give me the read receipt. So I didn't know if you saw my response.
If I needed to like,
did I not pick up the fucking sandwich? And it's like, well, yes, you did, but I needed to know before.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta have those read receipts in case you have to, like, return the original message.
Exactly.
You know what
need
I mean?
to say,
and get your money back on your card.
I want people to know. So I have read receipts for everyone. Like, I leave my read receipts on for all messages. So, like, when I see it. And I want people to know, like, I saw it. And if I am not responding, it's by design. I
know that you've read mine even without your read receipts because I know that you just sit there and stare at your phone and wait for me to text you.
Oh, well, yeah, certainly. You can fully expect after this podcast in about 20 minutes after you get home, some sort of TikTok.
Love it.
Talking about Tucker Carlson being a fucking moron.
Yeah. And then you probably get one text message from me late at night after I'm done editing saying, all done, boss. What are you doing?
My favorite was early on in this whole process would be like, hey, you up? And I've always felt so cool saying, always.
Yeah. It's true.
Now it's lost its
no, it doesn't
shine.
It has not.
No.
Still love it.
Okay, cool.
Like, I know you're up and I still text you to ask if you're up just so I can get that response.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes you just got to say something to elicit a response. It makes me happy. Anybody listening or watching that has Brian's cell phone number, text him late at night.
Because I'm always up. I will respond.
Gosh. When was it? When I was doing the... so there was an issue with the last podcast with sound. Mm-hmm. I think we've resolved the issue.
Yeah.
But I resolved that episode for sure. And I had to take my Bassett certification. I had to re-up that. And did that. Didn't finish that until about midnight-ish. And then started in on the episode. And I think I texted you. It was like a Thursday night at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you texted me back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might be up a little bit later tonight. I got to finish Ready Player One.
I know. That's a great
I'm
movie.
really excited about it. I should have purchased it instead of renting it.
Yeah. Well, it's also on HBO Max.
I know, but AT&T doesn't give us the free subscription anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to cut back on my subscriptions.
Dude, I totally feel that.
You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Yeah.
Although I might have to dabble on a new subscription, and that's adding. So we do Hulu Live right now for, the football games, the playoff baseball.
Yeah.
Noel wants to watch like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I was a big Bachelorette person, and then I just kind of fell off.
Isn't the new Keeping Up with the Silicone on that one?
Yeah, it is. It is. Speaking of, she's dating Pete Davidson supposedly.
Who?
Kim Kardashian.
Oh, yeah, because there's something that happened with the Kanye West.
Oh, yeah, that happened a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he was doing Jeffree Star.
Supposedly. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And, like, good for him if he is. Like, do your thing.
Do your thing.
Well, actually, no, not good for him. Good for him that he's exploring his sexuality, but shame on him for cheating on his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. Those poor children.
But that's also
all
alleged allegations. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyways, Ready Player One is
Great.
a fantastic movie, and I think it kind of gives a truly idealistic version of what a metaverse could be. And there's also the term metaverse came from some book. Oh, it's like Snow Crash or something. It was like from an 80s novel.
Snowpiercer?
No. Oh man. But it's so interesting because Snow Crash. Is that what I said?
Yeah.
Neil Stephenson.
Yeah.
Wow, that was okay. So, I never read it, but when thinking about the metaverse, I had heard is from 1992, not 1982. But that's where the first term really came from, and then you have like movies like Ready Player One, which was also a book. I have a buddy Joe who read that book and said it was phenomenal, and I never got around to it, but he said it was really remarkable the way that he was able to kind of get the vision of the metaverse just through reading about it. But Ready Player One is a phenomenal movie that I would suggest to anyone, and it's relatively family friendly. There's like one scary part, I think, where it's kind of a little bit off-putting, but not very. It's not like super gory or anything because it's all animated at that point.
Is it the second key?
Yes.
Okay.
Second key.
I can talk to you about things like this now.
The second key.
But don't talk to me about that third key yet, Bri.
Oh, you don't have the third key.
No, I told you they just.
Yeah.
What's the bad guy?
Yeah.
What's the bad guy's name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Something with an S. But he just found out that a certain character is in a certain spot.
Yes.
At a certain
Sorrento.
time. Sorrento. I was right. Nice.
Yeah. So
he's a real dick.
Yeah. But I think it's fun to imagine the metaverse in that sense. But tonight we're going to be talking about what could be the metaverse now that Facebook has changed its name to Meta, and it seems like they are going all in on it.
Yeah.
So
you want to get started?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. GarageBand. All right. Let's intro this bitch. Checking sound. Playback.
Sound. Clap.
Marker.
Action. Set. Go. Ah.
Let's break out. Come on, let's break out. Break out. Tell everybody break out. We about to, it's time. Let's go, let's ride, let's roll. Got me feeling so
funny. We're not live yet, Brad. Don't worry.
Oh, okay. Hey, shout out to those of you on YouTube. I guess I should shout it out on the podcast. But I am wearing my Chris Shields merch. No complaints. All thanks. So wearing that for the podcast so everyone can see.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I'll shout that out. What's up?
Nothing. Check.
It didn't look like it moved.
It didn't.
That can't be a good sign.
No, here we go. There we go. That's technical work on the fly.
Now, how come Audio 1 isn't doing anything?
Because Audio 1 doesn't have a digital input, and neither does Audio 3. Audio 1 is your intro. Audio 3 is your output, or your outro, rather.
Oh.
And then anything that's actually like recorded is recorded into Audio 2, which is a blend of mix 1 and mix 2, which is your voice and my voice.
Hey, Chris, how's it going, man?
Hey, Chris.
Yeah, we were doing a test run for the audio.
We're doing a test run for the rest of our lives right now.
I don't want to wait.
God, sorry.
Too bad the audio didn't cut out there.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
For the second time?
Yeah.
Let's reload in the intro. And we are live.
We're live.
It's happening.
Always.
And forever.
And on YouTube.
And with Chris.
Yeah.
Not in studio, of course.
Yeah.
You'd have to be watching our YouTube
My wife also said hi. She's going to be considered a viewer soon.
Nice.
Yeah. She's probably going to share it out on Facebook. So if anyone does hop in and wants to say hi as we record a podcast. So for those of you just listening to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Cast or Amazon, make sure you like and subscribe that. But then also head over to our YouTube page. You can go to youtube.com, type in MadLibs Podcast, and you'll see a couple of our videos. Go to that webpage, subscribe, get the notifications for when we go live.
Comment.
Yeah, comment.
Comment.
We're going a little bit of a, Batman grittier scene, right?
Yeah.
Like we turned off the backlights. We have our ring lights. We have some.
Yeah, Brian simply adopted the darkness. I was born in it.
That's false. I was born in the darkness. You merely adopted it.
Yeah, copycat.
Anyways, son of a gun.
You should have jumped on that quicker.
I know. My dog's name is Bane.
Yeah.
And you're a Batman type.
I am?
Yeah.
That's very sweet of you to say.
Yeah.
You mean like I'm a rich dude that has a fancy belt?
I mean, yeah, you definitely have more belts than me.
How many belts do you have?
2.
I have 2 too.
One doesn't fit.
One doesn't fit for me either. It's too big.
Yeah, mine too.
Dude, we're so alike.
Yeah.
Belt wise, anyways.
Yeah. So anyways, tonight, as we already introed to our people at home, we're going to be talking about the metaverse.
Yeah.
And so
it's some real weird shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in the world. There's the G20 summit. There's the election night. So today is Tuesday, November 2nd. As we're recording, you're going to hear this on Wednesday. So obviously there is a major gubernatorial, emphasis on the gubernatorial race in Virginia. And that's supposed to be an indicator of the country's sentiment towards
midterms,
Biden, and what the midterms might start to look like. Biden won Virginia by about 10 points. And so it's a very, very tight race. They did say they've seen record number turnout for a gubernatorial race, which, win or lose either way, is exciting for me because I always like there to be a larger population when talking about voting.
I feel like that's a trend nowadays. I feel like that is one thing that we can take away from what Trump has done for us, and that is brought people out to the polls.
Yeah.
Because even in the recall election in California, there was a huge turnout.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, a lot of that is because, a couple of weeks prior to the recall election, they were pushing a lot of the ads and things like that, saying that what was his name? Who ran against him? The talk show host.
Yeah.
a radio show host. Anyways, that he was like friends with Trump, and all of a sudden the turnout numbers just kind of guaranteed to shoot up.
Yeah, and you know,
He's a wild card. I mean, what's a good card in Uno? Reverse.
Yes, I would say
He's
has
a reverse
reversed
card.
a lot of progress that has been made in this country. Yes,
I was gonna go more towards like
I was.
if you ever want to like reverse the way you think an election's gonna go, just tie the other guy to Trump. That's what they're trying to do in Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's both a winning and losing proposition, right? A lot of the Republicans, that are, heading towards the midterms are really starting to utilize the Trump base. And that's an effective practice right now. That's really the only platform that Republicans have right now is the Trump voice. I mean, you see even some of I think it was called the Trump 10 Republicans that voted to impeach Trump. So like Kinzinger has now stepped down. He said he's stepping away. He will not be running for re-election.
I don't like when they give groups names like that.
I think you did when they called them the Avengers.
10 out of 10. That was solid.
Thanks. The Insidious really Six, the 6 bad guys against Spider-Man. So really, it's really more applicable to
politics,
to comics than politics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Comics, you can name your groups.
Yeah.
Politics, I don't want any squads. I don't want any Trump 10s. You know what I mean?
I don't like the way that the names for the parties. Fuck them both.
Republican, fucking Democrat, toss
Get rid of
them to the wind.
Libertarian, out. Green,
done,
gone.
done.
T, gone.
Let's just make it good versus evil. No one's gonna vote for the evil party.
Wouldn't that be great? You just have all the corporations being transparent finally and saying like, "Hey, we're on the evil side."
Yeah,
but we innovate and unitize.
Yeah. Number 1, Monsanto, take a step to the evil side. Number 2, anyone that deals in oil, evil side.
Number 3, Facebook for trying to ruin the metaverse already.
Yeah, metaverse, try infraverse.
Wait, what?
That's the opposite of meta.
Oh, I like that.
Nailed it.
I love that. Did you have to look that up? Or
sure did.
Okay, I love it. I love it. You really came in hot.
You think I speak Greek?
No. Maybe some.
No,
not any.
Any English word that is a direct translation from a Greek word, I speak that part of Greek.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm off to a good start.
Yeah.
It's like speaking Latin.
Yeah. Euro.
That's Greek.
Yeah, that's what. Well, no. That's what I'm saying. That's a Greek word that I know. Yeah, I know it's not Latin.
Just say any.
My favorite Latin is cogito ergo sum.
What does that mean?
I think therefore
sounds
I am.
Sexy. You think they're frail?
I think therefore I am.
Oh, I was like, don't think frail.
Or there's, I'm sure yours is e pluribus unum.
E pluribus unum. Yeah. That is a good one.
Yeah.
Way to go, America, for minting that on your money.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the metaverse tonight. And obviously dodge the gubernatorial race. We're going to dodge.
We can talk about it.
We did say on YouTube, but we did want to say we wish Jen Psaki a quick recovery from COVID.
Yeah. That's all we're going to say about her.
Yeah. We praised and talked about her a little bit on the YouTube.
Brian
so you
did.
Can go, I praised her. You questioned some things, and that's good.
Well, because I told you I have to watch more footage, and then I said I was going to watch the reruns.
Well, they don't spoil everything for them.
That's why I'm just trying to keep them on. You know what? The people that have been listening on Spotify, they've been with us the whole time.
You're right.
I'm always looking out for you guys. Gosh. Brian, you're not allowed to wink when we're recording the podcast.
No. Oh, no.
Yeah, so we're talking about the metaverse.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Mark Zuckerberg, Marky Z, Marky Mark.
So
he went out onto, he did what was it, like it was like a 30-minute presentation, hour-long presentation? It was a very long, commercial.
Yeah, it was essentially, they're trying to rebrand Facebook.
Correct.
And that's happened numerous times with companies. For instance, people always call Google, but it's actually Alphabet. That's the company name that owns Google and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So Facebook is trying to have this divergence. So there will still be the Facebook platform, but taking it a step further and connecting people. So the idea of Meta, the company owned by Mark Zuckerberg or whatever, the idea behind that is to continue connecting people, but not only here on a social media platform, but in an alternate universe, essentially, like this metaverse, a virtual universe. And I think it's, in its idealistic form, I think it's really, really cool. But not to jump too far ahead, I am very, very skeptical of anything Mark Zuckerberg does. So I'm very skeptical of his attempts at a metaverse.
Yeah. No, the commercial, I want to get back to that for just 1 second.
Sure.
I was also looking up something. I was going to make a rebranding joke. And there was an airline company, a large airline company that had very terrible records and rebranded its name. And it's still an airline company that's in use today.
Spirit?
I don't believe so.
No, they're still called Spirit. They
I think
should
that's- I mean,
work on
that's-
rebranding.
That's the big thing. It's usually when a company is failing or a company is like falling from popularity that they decide to go with a rebrand. And if
Right.
they're a bigger company, they purchase up a smaller company
Right.
and then just rebrand to that name. I mean, it's been done several times throughout history. And it makes sense to me that Facebook wants to rebrand, obviously, after, Frances Hogan
Yeah.
came out with her whole thing about how they're allegedly purposely pushing things that will anger people to keep them on the platform longer so that they can make more money from advertisers. So, I mean, it makes sense that they want to make this move. I mean, it's a simple way to, which is ironically enough, in the commercial, he kind of pokes at her a little bit.
Does he? I didn't see it.
Yeah, I watched most of it. It was very scary, dude. First of all, they should have gotten that guy from the social network to play Mark Zuckerberg again.
Oh, Jesse Eisenberg?
Yeah, they should have gotten him to do the commercial because Mark Zuckerberg plays an awful Mark
Dude,
Zuckerberg.
that would have been very meta to do that, though.
Yes, exactly. They should have done that.
Wow. That's actually, you should have been their marketing person.
would've
That
been-
would have been brilliant. It would have been
Listen,
so
Mark,
meta.
we want you to sit this one out. We got Mr. Eisenberg back.
But from what I've heard, he did not take too kindly to that movie. So.
Yeah, he did not.
But
Well,
that would have
mostly
been
'cause
brilliant.
it shows him in a bad light.
Yeah.
Easy to do nowadays. But you know what I mean? The whole idea of this metaverse is like Facebook will still be Facebook, but it's going to be like moving forward. Basically, they realize that their numbers are down at Facebook. They realize that they've got a bad reputation and they want to push for something else. And so they are creating this virtual universe.
Do you feel that this was all a distraction from that? And by announcing this,
I don't.
So, like the rebranding, fine. But do you think like the announcement of something that people are very, very excited about the prospects of? And we'll talk a little bit about like crypto and NFTs and like virtual reality, video games, and all of this stuff. So there's so much excitement building around this segment of life. Do you think he was trying to just position in a way that it would distract everyone from Facebook's wrongdoings, and now they're like, oh, hey, look at what we're going to do?
Yeah, as to the question, is this all just one big ploy? No, I mean, obviously they put some work into this. You know what I mean? That this didn't come about in the matter of, a few weeks.
Yeah.
I think that this was something they've been working on, and the PR team was just like, all right, what can we do to keep people off of this whole, Facebook whistleblower? And they're like, all right, just fuck it, go with the metaverse. Tell everybody about it. Call Mark, we got to shoot a shitty commercial.
Fair.
I mean, if you guys haven't watched it, don't watch the whole thing. That's a waste of time. But definitely watch little bits and pieces of it. You can watch the highlight reel, and it's somewhat embarrassing.
Fair.
Yeah, but it's a virtual world. It's very much like Second Life in The Office.
Well, I think
pretty soon we'll be creating a metaverse within a metaverse.
I do think that the idea of a metaverse similar to Ready Player One is a really cool thing. But I want to pause for a second before diving into it and like what we think it could be and like what we hope for, what we are scared of it. Doesn't that say a lot about the world we actually live in? And like
It sure does.
Like-
and that's why when you asked the question or said that people are excited about it, I wouldn't be excited about it at all.
I mean, the fact
think
that we
people
are
are-
excited about it shows how
Yes.
futile some of our efforts are here to make the world a better place.
Right. Because, I mean, like, I haven't even bought, like, the VR headsets. The Oculus or whatever.
Yeah.
Isn't that from Facebook?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But I haven't bought the PlayStation one either. PlayStation makes one, don't they?
Yeah. There's a PlayStation VR. There's an Xbox version.
I'm just not about that. I need to make my own life better before, you know what I mean? Or make improvements, I should say. I've got a pretty great life. I need to make improvements on my life before I start improving some character that doesn't really exist.
Yeah, I think there's an element that kind of scares me in the sense that if you watch Ready Player One, and I'm not going to give anything away, you know, you look at the living situation that everyone is in that time period. I think it's like 30 years out.
2040 something is when it takes place. 2045 because the kid in it was born in 2027.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense, and obviously there are some circumstances.
Fresh in the old dome there.
Yeah, there's some circumstances that kind of put them in a position where they go to this metaverse, and it's like the idea of the metaverse where anything is possible. You can feel like you're flying. You can, you know, redesign yourself as a character is entrancing. I think that's a really cool idea. You know, I play video games. I know you do sometimes. I try and get some in.
Mostly Super Nintendo, but
yeah. So like the idea of a video game is to immerse yourself, especially in like more recent video games, like the amount of RPG. So RPG being a role-playing game where you can kind of decide your character. You know, it's very similar to or akin to Dungeons and Dragons, which I think is really cool.
You're striking all the right chords because Chris, who's listening, my brother, he's a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan. He also said it sounds very similar to a VR chat hangout. If you watch the commercial, that's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Like in the commercial, it's like opposite to Zoom is what they're trying to say they are, when realistically it's just like Zoom but VR.
Yeah.
And so I would agree. I would say I think that's what it'll start as, Chris, but I don't think it'll continue as that. I think it'll definitely grow, become a huge gaming platform. And I would agree with your second comment. It is all about escapism.
Yeah.
I think that that's a good point, and I think that that's what it'll go. It's because I think the metaverse will slowly grow, and it'll be basically people's way to stay away from real life.
Yeah, and I think I can understand that, right? I can understand that in this country specifically, but in so many others, that life has become very hard to deal with. And I think the pandemic really highlighted some of the lies that we're told and what we think this country allows us to do, what the world allows us to do. And I think it makes sense that some people are just tired of fighting that and just want to go be something else. And, you know, as Chris said in the YouTube chat, it's about escapism. And that's the frustrating part for me. Not at the people that want to escape. I understand that. I'm frustrated at the people that make decisions in this world, countries, you know, world leaders, the politicians, the richest, most elite people in the world. It bothers me that they are continuing to take the world down a path where it is a better option to just escape the world rather than be in it. Yeah.
Two things about that. One, I think we should stop calling rich people elites. I think that elite should be saved for like truly good human beings. Those should be the elites, and rich people can just be rich people.
Well, yeah.
Secondly,
yeah.
I think that that's something that it's hard to grasp because you don't know other people's situations and what's going on in the background. But I think that wanting to escape from life is sometimes a common feeling. However, I think that the idea there would be to fix the things in your life slowly if need be, or rapidly if you can, to make improvements. Because the quicker you improve your life, the quicker you make changes that benefit you and benefit others, I think the happier you'll be, and the more or the less likely you'll want to escape into virtual reality.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because virtual reality, it's a cool thing. Like, I would love to play tennis with you virtually.
Yeah. Well, and
if we couldn't make it over to the courts, Brian.
Yeah, the thing is about that, and I agree, but I think it's easy for us to say things like that where we want people to just deal with their shit and build it back and do what they need to do to put themselves in a better place.
I was saying, though, it's not. It's easy to say it. It's hard to do. I'm just
Right.
saying that's you know what I mean?
Right, and so I think, and it's not just racial, it's not just wealth, it's, chemical. Like, some people just aren't in a good mental space, and yes, they need to maybe go through therapy or something like that. But what if the metaverse is their therapy, where they can feel good about themselves, build confidence up and all that? Like,
But is that a false sense?
yeah, I mean, it might be, but in all reality, ironic, I would say it like that, but in all reality,
Just pretend like you meant
a
to.
lot of people, fake it till they make it. And some people don't have the confidence for whatever reason. They're the way they were brought up, the way they were treated or abused by family, friends, whatever the case is. And so the escapism isn't necessarily just a crutch, it's a survival mechanism, right? It's not just, oh, well, they're leaning heavily on this. It's the only way that they know how to survive. And yes, maybe they can find the tools to survive, but some people just are so far behind in that. And that goes for building yourself up, in terms of professional career, wealth aspects as well, economic aspects. People start so far behind the 8 ball that it's difficult to ever climb out of. And so why not find yourself in a position where you are, living a lavish lifestyle, a life of luxury, right? Because you can in the metaverse possibly. So I understand. I agree with you that we need to do the work here, but I don't fault the people for wanting to have an escapist mindset. I'm not faulting.
No,
I know, but I fault the people that are continuing to put us in a position, right? So I know we're straying away from, politics a little bit tonight, but, the Joe Manchins of the world who are continuing to keep us behind, right? Where our president is at the G20 summit and can't say, well, hey, I've introduced this bill and it got passed and we're doing this for climate change. We're getting held back by people in those positions of power, Republicans and Democrats alike. And so eventually it's just easier to stop trying to fight that power and just take your own sense of power, because ideally the metaverse won't be harmed by the governments that, behold us here.
Yeah, but you'd be beholden to Mark Zuckerberg and
therein lies the issue.
Rich people at Facebook. Yeah, I don't. I understand what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from. I just think that yes, it's nice to have an escape, but until you do the work in the real world, it's all for naught.
Yeah, but people do the work their whole life and sometimes never get ahead.
Well, I understand that.
Right? And so what was the point? You lived a life that never got you ahead. It never benefited you. And you, in my personal opinion, you only have one life. So, if you're living in a metaverse, which is better for you than the life you're living, I get it. Right? People strive to get out of poverty their whole life. They're homeless, whatever the case is. They struggle. They do everything they can. And no one is there to pick them up. And they never get that helping hand. Every single person that is successful, whether it's Mark Zuckerberg or whomever, Bill Gates or lesser, myself, anyone that's had any success, it's because someone else picked them up. Every single person that has had success. But we're so willing to kick the people that don't get that helping hand. At some point, we're willing to just say, well, they didn't do enough to help themselves. Huh?
Who picked up Bill Gates?
Dude, the guy went to Harvard. His family was wealthy before, was very well off. So,
But do you think that discounts the work that he did?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think do you think that he would have been hindered if he, or what about who's the guy at the black turtleneck Steve Jobs?
Yeah,
Did he come from wealth?
Yeah, his family adopted him and he got to go to Stanford. He got to stay on a floor at Stanford. Like he just lived on the floor and went to classes at Stanford.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
Gary Vee.
What about him?
He didn't come from wealth.
His father owned a wine shop that was very successful. And yes, he helped build it up.
His parents couldn't afford the Jets jerseys when he was a kid.
Well, right. And what's the wine business worth now?
I don't know.
It was worth about $3 million when he was working for it. Now, he built himself up off of that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying it's not like he was ever, left out on the street. Left to fend for himself. And there are lots of people that are in that position in this world. Not only in America, but throughout the entire world. And so eventually it just becomes easier to say, I'm done struggling. So I want to go to a metaverse. I'm done.
They have to be able to afford it first.
Well, eventually it'll be just enough affordable to make people come in. I mean, that's what they did with Facebook, right? Mark Zuckerberg made it, he made sure that everyone was getting better internet. And that wasn't for his own, I care about people, is so there's more Facebook users. And so that he can say there's billions of users on a daily basis. And that's what I'm getting at with this idea of escaping the world. It's not, and I know you didn't say you're blaming the people for wanting to escape.
No.
But what I'm saying is there is blame for having to have this almost desire for a metaverse. And it's because people aren't doing a good enough job. The people that are in power, whether it's politicians or people controlling companies or whatever, we're not doing a good enough job worldwide to make this world an equitable place where people can actually feel invested in the world around them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and I think you're talking about the metaverse far in the future because, as Chris in the chat alluded to earlier, the first application of it is going to be chat rooms.
Well, yeah. So something that is already happening are immersive environments. So Microsoft has already, experimented. You can do immersive chat rooms with Zoom where you're in a particular universe or whatever, but it's not fully functional in that sense. I do believe that Microsoft has made it where you have a virtual persona going into the room or something. I don't know for sure. I'm not a part of that team, but I think it's interesting that that's where it's at now. I think long term, that's what the metaverse is supposed to be. It's this alternate living place that you can go, similar to a Ready Player One or the Snow Crash or whatever, where it was first sculpted
or Second Life,
or Second Life. I'm a paper salesman. I'm an assistant regional manager.
Yeah, but he flies to work though. He's assistant to the regional manager at a paper company, but then he has a second life within his second life.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
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 That's an Office reference. For those of you that don't know, I'm sure most of you do. But I think it's very interesting, right? The cool aspect of it, I think it's so cool what the metaverse could be. But similarly, I'm terrified of it because who's making it? And the three front runners towards real development are NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Facebook.
Yeah.
And that is petrifying to me.
Yeah. It's not like in Ready Player One, I'm just now watching it, but it's kind of this idealist, kind of not really outcast, but kind of dorky, socially awkward game designer. And he's come up with this whole thing. And so he has all the best intentions for this, alternate reality. But yeah, I think that's the scariest thing. The hold that tech companies have on the world right now is uncanny. And it makes me feel very uneasy. And when I was doing some reading for this podcast and everything like that, I texted Brian because I was doing a little bit of research on crypto because I'm sure Brian's going to get into that shortly and how that's kind of going to be the currency of this alternate reality, and how it's actually slowly becoming the currency I think it'll eventually be the currency of the world.
Yeah. You bought into that more than me, which is cool. Like,
Yeah, I just think it's going to happen.
I think it is. I think it is trending.
Not for a while. Yeah. Not for a long time. Us Americans like our greenbacks. But what scares me is just like, first of all, once you put everything into a digital world, there are people that spend their lives just trying to hack away. And actually, someone near and dear to me, one of my family members, they were hacked. And it's one of those, what do you call them? Where they like
Phishing?
they hold your stuff hostage.
Ransom?
Yeah. But it's a very scary thing, you know what I mean? And so once you put everything into this alternate world, like crypto is very hard to hack, you know what I mean? It's the big boys anyways, like your Bitcoins and your Litecoins and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you really want to dive down this rabbit hole, your virtual self could be hacked.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be the most important thing to me about all of this is the security and privacy, right? And so, you know, the very name Mark Zuckerberg is the opposite of security and privacy, in my opinion, right? Whether it's Cambridge Analytica, whether it's, you know, hackings, you know, of their data or their own usage of, you know, information for profit, as you brought up, Ms. Haugen earlier. So I look at that and I'm like, man, security and privacy needs to be the number one concern about a metaverse.
And not only that, but it's got to be constant.
Yeah.
It's got to be constant changes.
And it'll be interesting to see, you know, how you can hardwire that into a metaverse if it's supposed to be like almost akin to the internet, where it's just this ever expanding thing, right? It's like a universe all unto itself. And if the metaverse is supposed to be living the internet, it's very, very difficult to monitor that at all times, to track everything. I think, you know, government agencies and military agencies are very good at it, but there's still a lot of shit that goes wrong. And then, of course, you have the dark web. Will there be a dark metaverse? Like the amount of hacking that can happen and subverting certain, you know, linear paths that would be kind of, you know, the foundation of the metaverse, I think would be very scary. So security and privacy for me would be the number one thing, you know, whether it's, and I'm not just talking about like, oh yeah, would this be safe for kids? I'm saying like safe for anyone.
Right.
Because as you said, like we all know people that have gotten hacked and how dangerous that is, how scary that is, how, you know, stressful that is. You know, it can rock your world both financially and emotionally. So that would be the number one priority. And if we're allowing the Microsofts and Facebooks of the world to create this metaverse, would they ever put security first before profits?
No.
And I don't think that would be the case.
No. I mean, we're really just taking one step closer to the Matrix.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's what it is. You're just
Pretty
plugged
soon,
in.
Pretty soon, Mark Zuckerberg's coming to your house and plugging in some feeding tubes into you, and then suctioning out whatever they suction out in the Matrix.
Yeah.
So, try that on for size.
So we would have, you know, security and privacy. You know, at what point could you, you know, what level of control do you have over your own character or image or even the world around you? You know, is it in an ideal form, everyone has their own control, but you know, if it's a metaverse, how can I silence, like what you and I are walking down a street and crossing paths and you're just, you know, I'll be the bad guy. I'm just shouting, you know, slurs at you.
Yeah.
Would you have the ability to just mute me, right? Would it be possible to just mute someone so I don't have to deal with that?
Yeah.
You know,
And then how long before you've got courts in your metaverse?
right. And you know, what if something happens where someone
Then
threatens
we're
your
gonna be
well-being?
then we're gonna be fucking paying people to be meta police,
Right. Well,
which is an epic waste of government funds.
unless
Unless Facebook's footing the bill.
well, here's the thing, right? If if it's owned by a company, a specific company, it then falls on them because they're the ones profiting from it. But if it's owned by multiple companies, or this becomes some sort of international thing, right? Then how is it governed, geopolitically? Like, how do different governments...
tyrannical rule.
Right. So it's, security and privacy is a big deal in this instance. And I think, then you start to get in the financial aspects of it. And obviously cryptocurrency, which, like we said earlier, is becoming a new big thing in the world around us. But that would have to be the way the metaverse is run, right? It would have to be through cryptocurrency. Wouldn't you think? Like,
I mean, it doesn't have to be.
Because you're trying to decentralize.
Yeah, but it could still be the almighty dollar. You know what I mean? Mark Zuckerberg doesn't care what kind of money he's getting as long as he can turn it into his own wealth. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know. Maybe he's really a nice guy.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't say his actions, both publicly and privately, that we know of, have not really
shed a good light on him.
But he did say most people talking about the metaverse want it to be decentralized, so therefore it would have to be cryptocurrency.
If they want it to be decentralized,
Right.
yeah. I mean, I don't think that would be an immediate case. I think that he would definitely take credit card.
Fair.
Yeah. He would take your life savings.
Yeah.
So, because then you got to pay for the skins. That's what you gamers call it, right? Skins?
Yeah. Well, and that's the
I
thing.
know things.
So Fortnite is a really big game, but was the biggest game in the world for quite some time. And, during that time, it was a free-to-play game. Mm-hmm. You didn't have to pay anything. The way they made money was through skins and aesthetics, right? And they were making well north of $300 million a month.
Yeah.
Off of those types of things. And so, yeah.
It's just like Niantic with Pokemon Go and all their other games, the Wizards and whatever.
Yeah. Anything where it's free to play, there's a way to monetize it, right? And that's fair. Like with Fortnite, I don't think there's issue with it. I play a game called Apex Legends. Very similar. It's free to play, but you put money into it, and that makes sense because there's developers behind it. There's people that are putting in a lot of hours and time away from their families to develop a game so you can play it, and therefore they should be making money.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the metaverse, obviously, people would be very, very invested, especially as it grew and became kind of a mainstream thing. And this is what we're seeing. And this is why I think the metaverse will be a thing in the not so distant future, is because we're seeing people break away from the current universe being what it is. With cryptocurrency, like they're trying to get away from the centralized currency, the NFT. So what is it? Non-fungible tokens. Mm-hmm. So it's something that's not here. I can't put it in my fingertips, but it has a value in the digital space.
Correct.
So like I am the only one that owns this picture of a duck with a weird hat and sunglasses or whatever.
Yeah.
Not really, but there's all these things, or Bored Ape is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like all of these different versions of it, and you are the only one that owns this one version of it. And we've seen people buy things for like $200 and then sell them for like $70,000, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's really remarkable what these NFTs are going for. And it's very similar to cryptocurrency. Is like there's this hyper awareness going on in the marketplace, because if you're the one that owns it and all of a sudden it shoots up in value, right? You can now trade it or hope that it continues to skyrocket in value, but you're the first one there. And sometimes being the first there isn't the best thing, but it's usually a very profitable thing.
Yeah. So
you have people jumping in on all of these weird crypto coins or NFTs that don't make sense to a lot of other people, but it could be the next step.
Yeah. I was just reading an article today that said that November is like the most bullish month for cryptocurrencies and for NFTs.
Interesting. I will say this.
It's usually the way that it was reading was like this is like so quarter four is usually when they start to have steep increases.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's not financial advice at all.
I was going to
for
say,
everyone listening.
I would not give financial advice. We've talked about things, and
No,
some
that
things
was
we've
not
called
me.
out
That was
right.
just saying I read an interesting article.
I will say I invested my first $20
into.
a coin called Ethereum. So it's one of the more well established. It's considered the second coin.
I didn't realize that they break down. You can break down a like a Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think it's like a 1,000 times or 1,000,000 times or something like that. It's like down 1,000,000 times. You can you can get into Bitcoin for cheap.
Yeah. So I have what? Because I bought $20 of an Ethereum coin.
What's Ethereum going for?
40. It just shot up from, I think I bought it at 4,400 and it's at 4,500. So I don't make that money because I only have a 2,000th of it.
Like
Right.
the $4,500 coin.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at percentage gains more than anything. So
Yeah.
it went up, a percent or two. And so I think it's very interesting. I think the reason I did it is one of my buddies was like, hey, instead of buying a lotto ticket this week, maybe we should buy a coin, a crypto coin or part of it or whatever. And I was like, you know what? That's not the worst idea. And
this was the time you were going to win.
yeah, it probably was.
No, stop it. I'll go buy a lottery ticket for you, bro.
So the rule in my house is I don't actually touch the lotto ticket.
Really?
I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, I would buy it, and then when we won, Anna would say, wait, what happened to the other half of the winnings? I was like, well, I gave Brian his cut.
Well, so the reason I'm not allowed to touch is when I do touch it, like not a single number is read. Like I'll get 5-10 lines and it won't hit a single number. Not like, oh, I didn't even win $1. It's like, I don't hit a single number. So I say, here, my lovely wife, you take $10 and go buy a lotto ticket.
I did the same thing with my wife with scratch offs.
Well, scratch offs, yeah, I don't.
And I don't
even like doing those.
I don't like to do scratch offs, but like I know Anna really does.
Yeah.
And so like when we're like leaving Mariano's after grocery shopping, they've got one of those little machines.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, here's $20.
Yeah.
Go get some scratch offs.
Right.
And I don't think it's a terrible thing, but she lets Ben pick out which ones.
That's how they get you.
They're all Christmas themed.
So, yeah. Well, now especially, my wife likes the crossword ones.
Oh, so does Anna.
Because you get the most bang for your buck. Like, not winning, but like
Scratching?
You scratch. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have more like anticipation. There's like,
Yeah.
oh, I got this word.
See, I'm the asshole because you can scan it on the Lotto app.
Yeah.
I would just be scratching out the fucking barcode.
So you want to hear something funny?
Yes.
My buddy, the first time I ever saw a crossword one, my buddy Leaves, Michael, he listens to the podcast sometimes. So hey Leaves, and he actually does a really good wink. So anyways,
Does he fall off of a tree well?
I don't know. I'm sure gravity really helps.
No, because the leaves.
I know.
Okay.
No, so his name is Michael something, and it Leaves is an homage to that last name. So anyways, that's not his real name, although some people actually thought that.
And Michael, I don't want you to fall out of a tree. I was trying to make a fall joke.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a double entendre
I
there.
like that.
Thank you.
So
Carry on.
anyways, the first time I ever saw one of those crosswords, it was in Leaves' car. We were driving home. He was a teacher with me.
Yeah.
And we're driving home, and he gives it to me. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got this. Will you scratch it off, see if I won? And I'm scratching. I'm like, oh, my God. The first one I scratch off. I'm like, the whole word. It's there.
I know where this is going already.
Second one. It's there. I'm like, Leaves, how many do you have to get in order to make money? He's like, I think you have to have at least 3 words. I'm like, okay. Scratch that third one. It's fucking there. Dude, I got 3 on the first 3. I'm like, dude, I already made the $10 back. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. I keep scratching. I'm getting quiet because he's like, well, what's going on? I was like, dude, I've got 6. He's like, what? How much is that? I was like, I don't know. Hold on. And I finish. I'm like, dude, this is worth $75,000. I get a cut of this. He's like, yeah. He's like, you fucking won $75,000 off of a scratch off? Are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, dude, I won. Look, I got all of them. And he realized that I just scratched all of the letters on the crossword and none of the ones up top. So I never lived it down.
That's okay.
But I thought I was rich in that moment. And then I thought he was pranking me because, they had those scratch-offs where they, like, were rigged winners.
Oh.
But they weren't actually lotto tickets. They were just like a gag. So I was like, dude, are you messing with me? He's like, no.
Yeah.
And then he's like, are you messing with me? I'm like, no, look. And that's when he was like, you're an idiot.
Actually, and Chris, if you're still listening on the YouTube feed, let me know. Didn't Sam win like $100 or $500 or something like that off of a scratch off that Aunt Jonna gave us? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, I don't know. So let's go back. Let's go back to crypto.
Yeah.
To the meta.
So you actually bought into this thing. Not like actually bought into it, but like you believed in it before I did, and I was like, no, this is a fad, and it really has. It has really gained more and more momentum. Like it has its ups and downs, right?
Crypto,
and like you said, like November is a very bullish month, and blah blah blah. Okay, so I get that, and I do think it needs to be regulated better. Like I don't think Elon Musk should be able to tweet something.
There's still a lot of them that are regulated. There's not a lot. There's a few that are regulated.
Yeah.
And I actually was reading about those too. I'm gonna look into them because there's some that are regulated and like some of them are like backed by gold.
Oh, interesting.
And other ones that are backed by it's like cash on hand or something like that.
Interesting.
It's very, very interesting. It's a whole world that I don't understand, and the only coin I've ever bought was Dogecoin. Or Dogecoin.
Oh, you did buy Doge.
Yeah, I bought Doge.
Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Because I made a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Not a lot of it, but a little bit. Which I took and put into a much more secure index fund.
So I think it's just so interesting. And here's one of the things that I will remain skeptical about.
Yeah.
Is with all of these cryptos, the metaverse, and NFTs, all of this stuff, there's so much money going around. What people have to realize is that when a resource is being put out there and you're buying, someone has to make money off of it. And usually that means someone's going to lose money on it. That's just how the nature of the beast is. And so when investing in things, it's very important that you're not investing with bad information, with, oh, my Uncle Vinny told me this, or whatever the case is. You have to do a lot of research, especially if you're going, like, so me throwing $20, yes, $20 is, a meal or whatever. But at the same time, like, for me, $20 is something, I can risk on, right? I could go to a slot machine, put $20 in. But $20 for some people is a lot, and they shouldn't be risking that. Likewise, there are people that are gambling with thousands and thousands of dollars in the crypto market, and some have turned $1,000 into $1 million, and that's awesome. But it's not worth anything until you sell it. So if you're holding on to $1 million in crypto, it could just as easily crash the next day.
And that's usually what happens because it's a volatile. What is it considered? Is crypto the actual
commodity?
Commodity.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a volatile commodity. It can shoot up, 100%.
Well, and that's
in a day, but it can also crash 90% and be worth negative,
right,
whatever the next day. Yeah.
Right. And we saw that with, I don't know, it wasn't Shiba. There was one of those Doge offshoots, right? So Doge was literally a meme crypto.
Yeah.
Right? They can produce as much of it as they want. That's the crazy thing. With all of these other things, Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're blockchain, right? So they're a currency based off of this algorithm that people are trying to identify. And so there's a scarcity that comes with these things. Whereas Doge was literally like endless supply. And people invested in it as a meme. And since more and more people are investing, the price went up and up and up. And then you had people like Elon Musk tweeting about it. And, Tesla might accept it as payment.
Yeah.
All of that shit started happening.
Didn't they sell a Tesla for Bitcoin?
I believe so.
Yeah. And
so by giving the coin utility, you are giving it value, right? So it's the same thing with gold and silver, right? At some point, someone said that, hey, this gold is something that I want, and I will trade you this for it, right? It was bartering, and then it became a currency.
Yeah.
And then in order to not have to trade gold bars for things, they created dollars or pesos or yen or whatever the case was. And so what we're seeing here, in my opinion, is a gold rush. And if you think back to the gold rush, lots of people got rich, but there were a lot of people that lost their livelihood. They gave up everything to go out west in 1849 and get rich mining for gold. And what ended up happening is they lost everything and they died poor. And so I caution people about crypto and NFTs. Like, be careful how much you're investing, and you got to know when to get out and get back in and get out and get back in. Or if you have the financial means to stay in through the booms and the busts, whatever the case is, just be smart about it. Don't just throw everything at it and then realize that maybe it wasn't the right decision, because some people will get absolutely filthy rich, right?
Yeah.
And I would prefer it be some MadLibs community member versus Mark Zuckerberg. But
Yeah.
at the same time,
And if you do, remember, we have a Patreon.
great plug. My hesitation, though, is that Mark Zuckerberg has the insider knowledge, right? A Bill Gates has that insider knowledge. What do they think is going to work? And they have the means, the capital, to support those decisions, whereas a lot of people don't. So you might get lucky and get filthy rich. Like, oh, I bought Bitcoin at $1,000. Now it's at $65,000. So every coin I have, shot up 60x. Well, you're probably a millionaire now. But for every story like that there's plenty of people that lost a lot.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All this stress about currency makes me want to go into a metaverse.
So I want to talk about the metaverse in a cool way. Let's talk about the ideal form. So, like, we've talked a little bit about the security and privacy requirements. We talked about how it can't be just straight capitalism as it functions today in America. But, like, what would you love about a metaverse?
Oh, the smell of the fresh air, for sure. I mean, I would love it. I mean, it would just be so nice. I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to be able to put, like, gaming. Gaming would be fun. But, like, I mean, I don't have as much time anymore, but, like, I never let myself get too into games.
Yeah.
Like, gaming was like a nighttime thing for me.
Yeah.
I live my life during the day. At night, when I need to unwind, I don't know. I'll go kill Nazis or something.
Yeah.
Or go kill bad guys in the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know.
Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Little RDR, baby.
Yeah. Great game.
Fantastic game. The second one is the best. I'm sorry.
No, that's
They really knocked it out.
Yeah.
And the first one's great. The first one's fantastic.
The first one was more linear. Like, they really opened it up in the second.
Yeah. Yeah. And the first one was still very sandboxy, just not as sandboxy as the second one. But I guess I would look forward to gaming. You know what I mean? Because, like, if I want to meet people and I want to talk to people, I want to do it in real life.
Yeah.
I'm old school, Brian. I'm a fucking old man, and I embrace it. Okay, I'm watching reruns of Jen Psaki after this. On cable news network. YouTube. And then after that, I'm going to take a warm bath, drink my hot milk, and go to bed. I'll edit the podcast first,
I think, yeah, maybe.
I'm not trying to be cynical.
Maybe
I'm not
you
trying to be
treat
cynical.
yourself to, like, a hot toddy instead.
I'll just have whiskey on the rocks.
No, it's got to be a hot toddy.
Okay.
You're an old lady.
I don't know if you're watching. Heat up some water. Get out the honey.
What is it? It's just water, honey, and whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lemon. Yeah, I like to cut a lemon in, like, thirds. Squeeze that juice in there.
Ooh.
Catch the seeds.
Never heard someone so enthusiastic about a fucking hot toddy.
Cures everything, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it cures everything. No, I mean, again, I would be excited about it. I'm not trying to be cynical about it. I just, like, I think gaming is awesome. I think that...
But what if you could make it something that is very profitable for yourself? Like, what if you
What if I started bartending in the metaverse?
Or
I'll be the first bartender in the metaverse.
Or you help other people design their entire bar, like their bar, right? So, like, you've talked about, some of your dreams, and, like, what if you could make that happen with less capital requirements in the metaverse.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool.
And you
But-
could make a profit off of that.
Yeah, I mean that would be cool. I'd rather meet with them face to face.
Well, right, but they are not building a bar in
they're
the real
building-
world. They're
oh.
building it in their bar. Like they're building a. So like that's what the metaverse could be. Is like you have the cryptocurrencies and you design homes and like you make your own home.
Yeah.
In the metaverse, that is like way cooler than your little New York studio apartment that you overpay for, right?
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh, I'm a bar owner, and like all of a sudden you help them build that. They paid you in the cryptocurrency, and now they're making money for people, wanting to go into that really exclusive club or whatever the case is. Like,
Yeah, I mean that would be neat.
is that something you would want to do?
I'm trying not to sound like an asshole about it because I think the whole idea of it is really cool. I think it's a neat thing.
Yeah.
I think I just worry so much about it, like just replacing real life. But yeah, that would be awesome if I could make a whole bunch of money in the metaverse, and then I'd be that badass bar designer that just disappeared. Nobody knows where he went. Probably back into the real world.
Yeah.
I'd love the mystery of it all. I think it would be cool. No, yes, I think that would be neat, Brian.
Because if you think about it, like it's another opportunity for people to expand their skill set.
Yeah.
Right. So certain things that may not be appreciated in the real world. So like, what if there's ways
We could have the first podcast in the meta whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Metaverse.
they can't hear it on Spotify here. They have to go into the metaverse.
We could be the Joe Rogans of the metaverse, but better.
Thanks.
Did you see that? Did you not to? I'm gonna actually take it on a tangent because I haven't taken it on one yet today.
Okay.
I don't think I have.
Okay.
Not a long one.
I think you took a tangent off my tangent. So the initial, you were an accomplice to the digression.
Oh my gosh, Brian! I'm an accomplice to everything you do.
I know.
Because I got your.
You're
back.
my ride or die, baby.
Yeah, baby.
All right.
Ride or die. Right
What
off
do
the
you
Grand
got?
Canyon. Shit. Oh, Australia. Did you see what Australia did with Joe Rogan?
No.
Oh my God. They had this whole commercial where they're trying to promote vaccines. And it's just a guy who is going into anaphylactic shock. He gets stung by a bee. He's on the floor of this bank, and the woman comes up to him with an EpiPen, and he's gasping for air, and he comes up and goes, wait, what kind of EpiPen is that? And she goes, I don't know. It's an EpiPen. Wait, but what are the ingredients? I don't know. Medicine? Goes on, he goes, wait, is it the one that Joe Rogan would use? It was just like so. It was funny.
It was on point. Yeah.
It was
on
funny
point.
because they thought it was like such a don't listen to Joe Rogan. Get vaxxed.
Well, I think they're criticizing people that would choose Joe Rogan's medical advice over.
Well,
actual
especially because he
doctors.
always comes up saying, I'm not a doctor. This is what I did, and here's why.
Right.
You know what I mean? People take him too literally. You gotta just enjoy him for what he is.
I would agree to some of that. Yeah.
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 He is who he is. I am who I am. You are who you are. Back to the point. What would you like about the metaverse, Bri?
I think it would be really cool to just have no limitation in the sense, like, I think there needs to be limitations in privacy and security. And I think there obviously needs to be some sort of limitation where, if you're harassing people or abusing the system, like, of course. But other than that, like, there's no limitations for people that have disabilities. Like, now they can throw a football that they weren't able to before. They can run like the wind. They can jump so high, or whatever the case is, myself included. Like, I don't know what my mile time is, but it's certainly not 2 minutes, and I could run a 2-minute mile in the metaverse if I.
You're thinking too small. I would fly.
Okay, there, that as well. Like, I look at, and maybe there's different zones where there's more limitations and more realistic versions, or less realistic, more video game versions. I think the limitless potential is what excites me. And in its ideal form, right? Like anything,
power.
right? The ideal form of anything is just so enticing for me.
Yeah.
But I just hope that we've learned a lesson with technology that it really needs to be developed slowly and monitored properly before it gets out of hand. And it's like big tech. It's too big to fail. Like we can't, have antitrust lawsuits brought against tech companies very often anymore. Like I think, when it comes to the metaverse, we need to be very cognizant of that. But in general, I think it'd be so cool for a lot of people who don't have the means or whatever. I think it'd be a really good opportunity for people to showcase abilities that they might be too afraid to otherwise, right? They have an avatar, so they don't have to feel scared, right? With Ready Player One, like all these different people had avatars and therefore didn't have to be held back by, their own insecurities about their physical appearance or their voice or whatever the case was. They unlocked their own potential within the metaverse. And I think for me, that's exciting.
The fact that H builds the Iron Giant is fucking badass too.
Yeah.
H is one of my favorite characters.
For sure. And also, like, you have no idea who that person is. Like,
you find out later in the movie.
Right. So I think that's what I'm hopeful of for a metaverse, is like this idea that it could be anything. It could be the ideal version of the world that we probably will never get to. Like, I am very hopeful for humanity, but like the world, I think in the next 30 years is going to dramatically shift towards the worst.
That's why we should stop the metaverse and put all that money and energy into the real world.
Well,
and then come back to the metaverse.
Really what just needs to happen is, and this is what I said at the top, was the people in power and the people with the money are failing us. And it all has to do, most notably, with climate change. Like, the world is going to be going through some dramatic changes. I mean, you think of, like, puberty was hard. The earth is going to go through, like, the worst puberty ever. And it's all because, we're jacking it up. So I'm hopeful that we can fix that and we're not too late. Some estimates already say we're too late and we're going to just have to deal with where we're at and just hope it doesn't get worse. And then, therefore, maybe we lose out on a lot of land. Like, people don't have the space that they once did. And the metaverse will allow us to do that. So I think it could be a really cool thing, in the next 50 years.
Yeah. I'm glad you feel that way, Brian.
I'm hopeful about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm
not what's cool is, like, we could have a meta karate fight.
Yeah.
But we wouldn't really have to hurt each other.
Yeah.
And we could see which one's the better karate fighter. That's what I would look forward to in the metaverse. To see who can chop more boards with their hand. Me or Bri?
Oh, chopping boards? I thought you were going to chop my neck.
No, dude. Why would I chop your neck? I wouldn't even chop
metaverse.
I wouldn't even chop your neck in the metaverse. You'd lose all your coins.
You would chop me to death and make me lose my coins?
Never.
See, I think that was a really cool concept. Is like,
oh man, I want to talk to you about a part, but I'll talk to you about it off air. Okay. A part that I really, really liked.
So I do like the idea that if you die, you don't die forever. Like, you can come back, but you've lost something very significant in terms of value. Yeah. And someone else can gain that. And I think, like, and that's what I was saying, like, there could be realistic zones where it's not about competition. Yeah. And then there could be, the video game like zones where, it's gambling essentially. Right. Yeah. And I think that would be cool. Like, there's gambling aspects, there's realistic aspects.
Well, all right, Brian. That's an hour.
To wrap up, we just don't want Mark Zuckerberg being the head of the metaverse.
Yeah, we want the good guy who created...
Because he wanted an escape.
The Oasis in Ready Player One.
Yeah, that would be cool.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys who are on YouTube or watching us right now. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right.
Do good. Be great.
Love you guys.
Love you.
When they're climbing across the Iron Giant, okay?
Oh, to get across.
And the fucking what's his name? Shun?
Oh, Shinjo.
Shinjo throws that fucking blade from
yeah.
Oh, dude, chops out the arm and just bleeding coins. Oh, that part's badass as fuck.
Wasn't it
Oh, we're still
awesome
live.
when? Yeah. What?
Oh, I just ruined it for everybody on YouTube.
No, you didn't ruin it. You just
'Cause they
ruined
don't
a
know
part
who
of
we
the
did.
battle. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like the Gundam suit. That was so cool.
Yes.
That was so cool.
And he's like, I choose Gundam.
Yeah,
And then-
there's so many cool like little parts. Like you
Yeah.
see people from like Overwatch or Battletoads or all these video games.
Halo's in there a lot.
Yeah, all these like instances, and I love the cultural references, specifically like the era in which we grew up, like those
Yeah.
80s and 90s, like references. That's why it's just like it's such a good movie.
It is, yeah.
But I think I love also the fact that like I watched it with Nora like twice, and she loved it.
Yeah.
And like she likes playing like Roblox and Minecraft and stuff like that. And I think there's like I have so much hope for a metaverse that allows people to really unlock certain potential, right?
They
Like
put a lot of thought into that movie too. Like,
Yeah.
the full body suit where you get full sensation all over.
Yeah.
And she's like,
that was
dancing
the other
with him.
that was the other risky thing. I was like,
Yeah. That's not too risque.
No.
You know what I mean? It is, but it's like it
don't get
it
it.
doesn't go anywhere.
no.
You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you know, his crotch lights up, so that's kind of cool. Like, good for you.
Oh my goodness.
Go get it.
Yeah.
Go get it. No, I think it's cool. I love the idea of the metaverse. I'm so skeptical of like making it, you know, if it's a capitalistic venture and not an idealistic venture, it'll be tainted and corrupt.
Yeah. Well, might as well start from square one then.
Yeah. Let's make our own metaverse and make it
The MadLibs metaverse. It's a whole lot of M's. It's
the MadLibs metaverse.
Yeah, it's
and like
alliteration.
you and I
Yeah.
are the ones that control it completely.
Yeah.
Authoritarian style.
Yes.
But
But
like-
in a good way. We're good
But in a good way.
authoritarians.
Right.
We would give
And
authoritarians
we
a good
would
name.
balance we have 50-50 control.
Yeah.
So if we can't decide, nothing changes.
Boom. I like it.
But if we both decide something, it does change, or we have a filibuster and talk it out the way a filibuster was intended and not just stopped altogether, the discussion.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like toot our own horns or ring our own bells, whatever the fucking kids say nowadays.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I'm not hip. But I just wish that politics could work the way our conversations do. Because I do think that sometimes you and I will have a moment where it's like when you're having a disagreement with your wife. And there's just that time where you need to be like, you know what? All right, you're right, honey. And I think that there's a right time to do that. It's minimal, but there is a right time to do that. And I think that you and I know when to do that with each other.
I agree. I think, and it's not always like compromise 50-50. I think, like you said, in a relationship, like it's never 50-50.
No.
It's 55-45, it's 60-40, it's 70-30.
Yeah.
But then, like, if you've been doing the 70-30, it has to swing back. So, like, now you can take a little bit, not a break, but not shoulder it all, right?
Yeah.
You can't carry that heavy weight all
Yeah.
the time. So, for instance, like, you know, when we had our child, like, I was adamant about being a part of the feeding process, and like I couldn't feed my child. I mean, maybe I could nowadays, but back then I couldn't. And so therefore, like, what did I do? Like, I would always be the one to get up, bring Nora over, whatever, and I tried to put her down the most, and like I wanted to make up for what I couldn't do.
Yeah,
Right?
no, I agree with you 100%.
And I know you always go above and beyond in that sense.
Well,
So
I don't know about that, but
no,
I definitely I'm definitely the one to get up with Jacob.
right.
I mean, I was with Ben too. You know what I mean? I was the first one to get out of bed. You know, and there would be, and that's where the whole 50-50, 55-45 comes in. It's like, you know, sometimes I would get up and I would start to get out of bed, and now I'd be like, no, I got it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then it's like, all right, thanks, because
Right.
I needed that right now.
Right. It can't be, 99-1.
Yeah.
It's got to be something closer to the middle, but it's never exactly
Yeah.
split. And there are times in the relationship where you feel like, oh, I'm doing 60-40, and it's been a while I've been doing 60-40, and your partner feels the exact same way. And that's when you have those fights, and you kind of have that cathartic release where you cry or you yell or whatever, and then you finally start to find that middle ground, and you recognize, yeah, I was doing 60-40 here, but I definitely wasn't here.
Right.
And therefore, like, I need to rebalance. And that's when you start to see, like, the growth and in that comeback to the 50-50 where it's at least going to be a lot closer.
Yeah.
Where it was
Yeah,
80-20 and now it's like, okay, it's 55-45.
I feel like Anna and I are like 70-30 in the bedroom, you know what I mean? Because 70% of the time I get up with the baby, and 30% of the time she gets up with the baby, you know what I mean?
That was not where I thought it was going.
Oh, I know. I set you up.
I
took the
definitely
bait.
felt.
You took
Oh,
the
dude,
bait.
I took the bait. I was you masturbated that.
I'm a pretty good fisherman, so I'm great at masturbating.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh, God, I can't run for political office now. They can just clip this shit apart.
You know, the funny thing is like you and I had talked about like political office and stuff like that. I don't think we could because it always does feel, and this is something about like cancel culture that I don't agree with, is like me saying Ted Cruz is a fuckhead would eventually come back to bite me.
Yeah.
But it should.
Dude, we have hours upon hours upon hours of footage and video or audio content. They could definitely pull it apart.
Well, and the thing is like,
And I'm not ashamed of any of it.
No, and like I don't think they even need to strip it down and like re-engineer it, but just like take clips.
Yeah.
But also like me especially, the vulgarity I use towards certain individuals.
You.
Well, you use vulgarity as well, but I think I'm very direct with, like I just did, like Ted Cruz is a fuckhead, and so therefore like that is not statesman, very statesman.
Or is it? That's the kind of statesman I want.
I think I'm hoping eventually, and this is my hope for the world, is like we become our most authentic selves. That's what I think is really great about our podcast, is we are our authentic selves, and we get things wrong sometimes, or we say it the wrong way, or whatever the case is. I mean, shit, for the first like 5 weeks of this podcast, people thought you were a Trumper. And that was not the case. Not that,
Dark time in my life.
Well,
I could have really metaversed then.
Here's the thing. Like, there are people that might listen to this and say, well, I am a Donald Trump supporter, and that's fine. Like, but you were misconstrued because of certain positions you had that weren't necessarily aligned with mine, but that didn't mean you were also aligned with Trump, because you and I were opposite on things. Yeah. So it's just interesting in how that would be misused in the future.
I agree.
So I don't think we're going to be holding public office.
I'm okay with that. Once we own our own metaverse.
Dude, the MadLibs metaverse would be fucking awesome.
There's got to be a way for us to do it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching on YouTube. AKA, thanks, Noel. Love you guys so much, and we will see you on the next one.